Matt, welcome to the podcast. Thanks so much for hanging with me.
I appreciate having me, brother.
Tell everybody at home where you're from, what you do.
I am Matt Plapp. I'm the CEO, the Chief Energy Officer of America's Best Restaurants, and I am located in northern Kentucky, just south of Cincinnati, Ohio.
I love it. Chief Energy Officer. I think I saw that on your email that you sent me the other day. That's great. I love that. So what does your company do? How did you get into this whole restaurant marketing thing?
Wow, that's a long story how it probably happened. I think the root of it was my dad was an insurance agent in the 80s that had about every restaurant in town insured. And so instead of eating at home, we ate out at my dad's clients' restaurants all the time.
Nice.
And so I was a fortunate kid that I grew up having pizza, steak, and ribs 4 to 5 times a week at restaurants. And so I just grew up around restaurants, and I was always fascinated by it. When I got into radio in the 1990s, I found a niche in that none of the mom and pop restaurants were advertising on radio. Now, looking back, maybe they shouldn't have been, so I take some blame there. But none of them were doing it. And I had a couple good stations I worked for, and I was always in need of trade for client meetings. And so I approached a lot of small mom and pop restaurants and said, hey, give me $500 trade, $500 cash. We'll own 2 different day parts every month on the radio station, and I get to come here for lunch. And the clients actually later on told me they loved it because I always brought good people to lunch. And so like one place was called Ferrari's Little Italy in Madeira, Ohio. Great lasagna, spaghetti, meatballs, great little bakery on site. And I would take clients there twice a week. And they always would tell me, Tony would say, Matt, your clients are back every weekend. So whoever you bring during the week for a business lunch is back that weekend with their wife, and they all become regulars. And so I cut my teeth that way. And then when I decided to start this company in 2008, we had our first client was a burger joint and then a pizza joint. And flash forward to 2015, we had 9 restaurants we were working with. And I realized that the business I had built wasn't scalable. I was either at capacity then or we were going to grow. And if we were going to grow, we had to niche down, as they say in the business. And so I had a business coach I hired, and he said, Matt, I want you to list out all 41 clients you currently have. And I want you to tell me who you love and who you hate. Because I'm sure there's somebody on here you don't like when the phone rings. And I'm sure there's the guy you love to go hang out with who doesn't spend enough money. And all 3 people that I put on the paper that I liked were restaurant owners. And he said, why do you like them? I said, man, they're friends. And I get their grind. I understand it. I grew up around a dad and mom that both owned insurance companies that were hard workers. My mom was a full-time mom for me and my brother. She was head of the PTA, head of the school board, and then also ran an entire branch for my dad. So I saw not only my dad grinded, but my mom. And so I appreciated the long hours. And the restaurant clients were the same way. And Shaheen, one of those 3 restaurants that in 2015 I said, that's my guy, now works full-time for our company after he retired from the restaurant business, had 28 years a couple years ago. And his first time working for us was he went to Pizza Expo with me 2 years ago.
Nice. That's awesome. So what exactly do you guys do for your clients that you work with?
So we've got 3 divisions of our company. So America's Best Restaurants is known for more than anything our show that we created. Back in 2018, I saw a huge gap in the market that I loved Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives with Guy Fieri. I loved watching it. But I also am smart enough to know back then that cable is going away. I mean, it's basically gone now. And I had this epiphany. I said, number one, he only films like at 40 or 50 restaurants a year. So, I mean, there's like 400,000 independent restaurants in the country. Like, how many pizza places are there in the United States? I don't even know.
I think there's like 70,000.
Yeah. So 70,000. So if he's going to film at 40 to 50 restaurants a year, the odds of one of those restaurants getting featured that year that we all love and go to are nil. And so I looked at it and said, man, wouldn't it be cool if somebody created that, but for the phone and for the restaurants and did it in scale? And that's when we launched America's Best Restaurants, because this company was launched in 2015 as a company called Restaurant Marketing That Works. And it was a marketing firm for restaurants.
That's how I found you.
Yeah. And we would help restaurants acquire customers. And one of the biggest problems I saw in that whole process, it wasn't hard for us to run Facebook ads, get a consumer to raise their hand and say, give me a free pizza, and then get them to come into a marketing program. But it only lasted so long. There had to be other things. Right. And the biggest thing that I've always been a proponent of is attention. And the reason that Papa John's, Pizza Hut, Chipotle, Starbucks, Chick-fil-A dominate the mom and pop businesses, we all know is not because of the product. It's not because their employees care at all. It's because they have a lot more money and brand equity, and they have a lot more attention because of that. And back when I saw that, it actually happened. It was kind of funny how the universe speaks. So I had thought about this. I go out to Newport Beach, California. I'm at an event out there. And when I would go to events, I'm sure like you, I go to events, somebody has read a book I've done or they've seen me and they go, hey, you got to come to my restaurant. And so this guy, Joseph Mahomes, said, hey, I want you to come back to my restaurant. It's Burger Parlor. It's down the street in Orange, California. And we go back, and it's a phenomenal burger joint with hand-spun milkshakes. It was just amazing. And he's telling me the story of how he started this restaurant. And I'm blown away because I go, Joseph, I'm on your Facebook page. I'm on your website. Like, you look just like 5 guys on your website. There's nothing on here that says the crazy-ass story you just told me.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, I've never really told it. I said, we are now. I put my phone on Facebook Live, and I went on his Facebook page. I said, hey, you don't know who I am? But my name's Matt Plapp. I work in the restaurant space. I'm here dominating this cheeseburger and milkshake. My guy Joseph just told me the craziest story ever that none of you probably know. Let's go. Well, about a month later, that him and I were talking. It's like the most viral video he'd ever had.
Wow.
And so me and some friends were talking. He's like, that America's Best Restaurants idea you have, because I had already kind of bought the name or kind of acquired some of the assets. I said, I don't know what to do with it, but I think it would be cool to create a company that wasn't hated like Yelp and that wasn't broadcast on national TV, because that doesn't help anybody, especially with it going away, but then also had a tie to the marketing side. Because if Guy Fieri walked into your restaurant and showcased you on a show and got you some business and then gave you some marketing advice, you would probably trust it more than somebody else.
Right.
And so that's kind of where all the worlds collided. And so from 2018 to 2021, we spent developing America's Best Restaurants into a 3-pronged company. Number one, the ABR Roadshow, which goes out and travels and films at 800 restaurants a year, a micro TV show, you could call it, owned by the restaurant, put on their Facebook page, and then we market it on their behalf. And then the other side of that company, which is the marketing, does that full-time for restaurants. And then we acquired a company a year and a half ago called Repeat Returns.
Which I'm sure a lot of people listening to this podcast have heard of.
Yeah. Yeah, Cameron Carrington, awesome dude, awesome product. We acquired Repeat Returns because we were looking for like the final tool. And I have this acronym we use, ABR, attract, build, retain. Attract attention with some marketing, with your brand, with your pizza, with your love in the community. Build a database and a loyal following, and then retain customers. And one of the missing components we always had was the retention part, which is a loyalty program. That if you're a pizzeria that's got 5,000 customers coming in once a month, I bet you got 1,000 that are coming in 4 or 5 times. And those 1,000 are the ones that will buy whatever the hell you sell them. It's just a matter of knowing who they are and incentivizing them. So we bought Repeat Returns and we rolled it under the umbrella. So the company, in essence, is America's Best Restaurants. We have ABR Roadshow, driver loyalty, and driver acquisition, which are 2 marketing plays for restaurants. And we work exclusively with restaurants. I think this year we'll have somewhere in the neighborhood about 3,500 by the end of the year.
Wow, that's unbelievable. Yeah, that's crazy.
And a lot of pizza.
Yeah,
a lot of pizza.
I love it. 2 things you said in there that resonated with me. One is like that story you told of the burger joint that you went to about like not seeing that. I was in Detroit last week of the recording of this podcast, and I went into this pizza shop, and my wife comes with me sometimes because we travel together, and we went to the pizza shop, and we pull up to the pizza shop, and it's just like an ordinary looking pizza shop outside. And we went, like I did a little research on Instagram and Facebook, so I was like, okay, the pizza shop looks good. The pizza looks all right. I opened the door, and inside it's decorated in like this retro, almost like if your grandparents had a party basement back in like the 70s, like retro. Think of that, like with the beads and like the wood paneling and like the Nintendo set, even though they didn't have Nintendo in the 70s, it had a Nintendo set. And it was like so cool. And I look at the dude, I'm like, why didn't I see any of this like on your Facebook or Instagram? Like, this is such a cool decor in here and so welcoming, but I didn't know this existed until I walked in the door. So like that's perfect example of what you just said of like someone who needs to showcase that a little bit more.
It's unbelievable. And even outside of just that, the story of how so many of these restaurants have happened, not only if you just think about restaurants surviving COVID, that's a miracle. And because I know what everybody went through, we went through it ourselves because we're 100% restaurant clients.
Right.
But when you look farther back than that and you say, man, this pizza joint's been here 30 years. It's on its 3rd generation, and the people still care, and the community loves it. And then you go back and find out how it started. The one that like smacked me in the face, and it's almost to me kind of insulting when people don't take it and run with it, was I ran across a restaurant like 2 years ago, and they were talking to one of my team about being on the ABR Roadshow, and we ended up filming there. And before that, though, I was talking to her, and she's like, well, I don't really see why we need this. Like, what is this What is this so important for? Why does it matter? How is this going to help us beat the big chains down the street? I said, hey, I'm curious. I'm on your website. There's a picture on there. And it's you. And look, I'm guessing this is you, but you were a baby. And I'm going to guess your brother and your mom and your dad. Tell me about that picture. Oh, yeah, it's my parents when they immigrated from Italy. Like, oh, and this lady was like 80. And so I'm like, so when was this? And she told me the story. And I'm like, so let me get this right. Your mom and your dad came over on that boat because it was raggedy looking. I don't know how it was. Probably, I guess there wasn't no legal stuff back then. But I'm like, you're telling me that boat arrived here with all of you on it. That's the picture of you coming to America. And that is a blurry picture with 2 lines on your website that has no context. That, your parents deserve more than that. And she's like, wow. She kind of teared up. So I said, like, your story is huge.
Yeah.
Like, that ought to be a video on your website. There ought to be a book written about your journey in the pizza business with your family. And it's huge. And I think that's a big missed gap. And this shirt signifies it too. This is a place called Little Italy Ristorante up in Groveport, Ohio. Avery Ward, he bought the restaurant from his dad. It was around for 30 years. He's grown it from $500,000 to $5 million.
Wow.
In the last 7 years. And it's possible. He listens to everything. I wear the shirt because he embodies my favorite client ever. And he also listens to a lot of other people. And we were talking one day, and he had made a post on Facebook. This was like, let's see, this would have been January of 2023. He was building a brand new location because obviously a restaurant doing $500K can't support $5 million. So he outgrew the space.
Right.
And he's building a new location. And he puts a picture on Facebook of his dad holding him as a little kid. He's like 4 years old in the kitchen. It's black and white. You can see flour everywhere. And he made some lame ass Facebook post about it. It was like 3 sentences. And I called him up and said, that's bullshit, dude. Your dad deserves more than that. You deserve more. I said, take some time, spend a half hour, and write a proper Facebook post about that picture, about the journey, about your family, about where you're going, because it was announcing their new store. And he did it. And it was long, man. It was like longer than I would have ever thought. He went hard in the paint. And from that day forward, Avery has been a social media guru. He realized the value of storytelling and the power that it had, because he's in Columbus, Ohio, near Donato's. So Donato's does have some heritage there, but that's long forgotten. Like, the people nowadays don't know what it is. And so Avery's tie to that story and him in that kitchen, it just blew me away. And that's the opportunity that exists for all of your viewers.
What's the name of that pizzeria again?
Little Italy Ristorante. Used to be called Little Italy Pizza. It's in Groveport.
Okay.
He's got a pizza called the Zinger that is hot honey, the cup pepperoni on it. Oh, it's my jam. And I guess they call it Columbus-style pizza. It's like a thinner crust, squares. I don't know if you've ever been around Columbus or not.
Yeah, I have. I've been there for there was a couple restaurant shows I went there back in the day, like pizza and ice cream show,
Yeah.
I think it was.
They used to have that. They brought that back next year.
Yeah, I think that's going next year. It's going to be pretty fun, so I'm excited to go to that. I think, I love what you're doing, and I love your enthusiasm for it. And you're right. People, what stops restaurant owners from just doing that? Like, is it just they don't know what to do?
I don't think they appreciate it. I don't think most restaurant owners realize that they have, in my opinion, one of the hardest jobs in this country. When you look at, let's just take what I find is most common, like a $500,000 to $700,000 a year restaurant owner.
Yeah.
Got a pizza shop, got 15 to 20 part-time employees, has an average GM. He's doing the accounting. He's doing the marketing. He's working late. He's showing up early. He's there when something breaks. Like, that is a grind. And it is the toughest business I've seen. And I don't say that because we're in it. I say that because I see it. And
right.
I've jokingly said there's no way I would ever open a restaurant because of what I see. I don't know if I'm a hard enough worker. And when I look at what they do, though, I think they don't realize it. I think it becomes the norm. It's like, I've got a couple friends of mine that are high caliber athletes. One of them was in the NFL.
Wow.
And I didn't know this. I was playing in a basketball league with him, and I was just like marveling at this dude. Like, this guy can hoop. How can a guy that big move like that? And so I went on the internet the next week, and it turned out he played in the NFL. He's a fullback. And I'm like, that makes sense. Well, I got to become friends with him. And he was everything he did to go to Alabama to get to the NFL was like, whatever. Like, the stuff he did now was just normal. And so I think that a lot of these restaurant owners it's just a part of them. They've embraced the fact that it's who they are, what they do, but they don't realize the journey it is. And they don't realize the cool shit they're doing. Because I can tell you right now, normal consumers love to be able to go, you see that over there? Yeah, that's the guy that owns this joint. That's Mike. Yeah. Like, it's the coolest thing ever. And nobody harnesses that, and it's there.
Yeah. I mean, I couldn't tell you the amount of times people came into the restaurant or the pizzeria where I was, and like, I know that guy. Like they'd say they know the owner. Is Bruce here or John here or whoever the owner was at the time? It's like they want to see you there.
Yep.
They want to know you.
Yep.
But then they get overwhelmed. I think like sometimes it's like Groundhog Day, right? Like Tuesday's Tuesday, Monday's Monday. It's like the same day over and over and over again. And you just get stuck in the grind of opening up the shop, doing the prep, making sure everybody shows up, running the inventory, managing the orders that come in, dealing with anything that breaks. And then before you know it, the day's over and you're like, shit, I didn't do any marketing today.
Yeah. Well, that's why I believe in a thing called themed days. My Monday through Friday, each one of them has a theme. And my team knows, like yesterday, my vice president of driver loyalty called me and said, hey, I need to have a meeting with you. I know today is your ABR day, the road show. And so I know you don't take meetings or anything else. Do you have any chance? I said, I got you. And I took a half-hour meeting with her. But I've themed my days where my Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. If you look at my calendar, at 5 a.m. to 5:45 is when I wake up and get going. But I have a block time that tells me what I'm thinking about that day. And I was telling some restaurants owners this last week. I spoke at a David Scott Peters event in Las Vegas, and I was telling the people there, I said, I showed them my calendar. I said, look at my calendar. Every day's themed. And I said, you should have the same thing too from a marketing standpoint, because marketing and sales is the lifeblood of your business. That's what all of them ask me about. How do I get better at marketing? How do I sell more food? Well, sales is a product of marketing, and marketing is a product of your brand awareness and your brand strength. And I said, you know what? Make a theme. Mondays is Menu Mondays. Get on Facebook, go live, put your phone on the camera and show you making a pizza, talk about the pizza, where your pepperoni comes from, where the tomatoes come from. The fact that like most consumers they think a truck shows up and just throws the dough in the restaurant. And when they see what it actually takes.
Right.
Like I love watching channels. I watch YouTube a lot, and I watched one the other day from Action Bronson. I don't know if you know who he is or not.
I do, yeah.
I love Action. And he had one. They showed this pizzeria making these sandwiches. And I was just blown away. Like, I've been in thousands of restaurants. I would challenge, I've probably been in more restaurants than anybody in the last 10 years with what we do in filming and traveling. Because at one point I traveled 3 days a week for 6 months at 8 restaurants a day when we were launching the ABR Roadshow.
Jesus.
And what I've seen, it's tough to marvel me. When I saw what this pizza place was doing with their dough, I was like I knew they did that and that, but that's, oh my gosh, like that's so cool. And I think that like you took it and said, hey, every Monday, I'm just going to talk with the menu. Talk about something on the menu. The bread, the sandwiches, the dough we use, the bakery it comes from. Avery from Little Italy went down the street recently and did a video at the bakery he gets his bread for his sandwiches from. He went to the farm he gets his tomatoes at in like California somewhere, did some videos there. And then you look at Tuesday. Tuesday, have a theme to Tuesday. Do a contest. Do something, make a post on there and say, hey, you know what? This week's contest, there's a basketball game this weekend. XYZ's playing. Guess below the score. Somebody's going to win a $25 gift card. Wednesday, get on there and talk about your community. Thursday, ask a question. Pineapple on pizza, boneless or regular wings, ranch or blue cheese. I do an article for PMQ every week, and I think it was like 2 months ago I came up with a weekly topic, and I published it. 52 topics, 52 questions that you can ask every week that are comically going to infuriate your audience. And they're going to comment. Like one of the restaurants did it recently, and he posted the pineapple on pizza one. It's the most generic, easiest one. 280 comments on his Facebook page from that.
I know.
Yeah,
it's crazy
and then
how
you just
much
look at
debate there is on that.
I know, it's comical. And then you just look at like Thursday and Friday. But like my whole reason for this was theme. If you want to market better, create a theme. Because if you wake up Monday morning and go, okay, I've got these 50 things that Matt and Bruce said to do, and I also read in Pizza Magazine, and I also saw at the Pizza Expo, like I'm going to do all these things. You're going to do none of them. But if you wake up on Monday and say, you know what, I'm going to log into Facebook, I'm going to log into my email platform, I'm going to do an email to my audience, let them know at 4 o'clock I'm going live on Facebook to show them how we make our dough. And then at 4 o'clock, I'm going to take this device, which we all call a phone, which is in essence a media center that you can broadcast for free on Facebook and reach hundreds, if not thousands of people, and just do that. And then Tuesday, wake up with a different theme. Wednesday, a different theme. I think when last week, I told him, I said, your history is a story, your food's a story, an offer, a question, and then a contest. It was like 5 things. If you just do it Monday through Friday, tell a story about your business, tell something about your food, make an offer. Hey, anybody that comes in today wearing a pizza shirt, I'm going to give you a free appetizer. There you go. You got a free appetizer.
Nice. I think too, and it's never been easier than now. Like with things like Like we go into restaurants, like I just have these tiny cameras. This is like a DJI Pocket 3 camera.
Yep.
I'm recording on ChatGPT. Like you can just go take exactly what you just said. All right, these are my themes.
Yep.
Give me one idea every day for this whole year about that. And like you don't have to use exactly what ChatGPT says, but it at least give you some ideas of what to do.
Yep.
It's never been easier to come up with content. I don't understand why. Well, I do know understand.
Have you heard of custom GPTs? Are you familiar with, I don't know how in depth you are with ChatGPT or not?
Yeah, that's what I use. So like you go train a GPT, like over time it'll resonate with you and be like, then you can just go there and be like, all right, give me the 7 ideas that I've trained you on what to do for this week.
One of our employees, so I have a custom GPT called Digital MP, and it acts as the CEO of this company. And I have a board of directors with 9 people on it, including my dad, who's one of my idols and a great business coach. And I use it every day to understand how to run my business better. But what happened, what I learned it from was one of our employees 6 months ago came to me and our head of automation and said, hey, I've got something really cool, but probably something really stupid. I go, what do you mean? She goes, well, I'm useless now. I replaced my entire job. What do you mean? She goes, I built a custom GPT that's called Lisa GPT that we have let's say about 1,200 clients that have access to us to have them create their email content for them and their loyalty programs. And she was in charge of helping with that content. She created a chat GPT bot called Lisa GPT. She trained it for 90 days off of my beliefs and all the data from millions of campaigns. And she replaced herself with a form, on a form that we use a product called Asana. The clients get, again, there's probably about 300 pizza restaurants that use it right now because we do a lot with Arrow, point of sale, and they have a lot of pizza. And they get it. They request a promo. It goes into Lisa GPT. It spits out within a couple minutes the product to our team, and it's done. And so she did this, and she told me this, and I was like, I knew the power of AI for the last couple of years, but that was the first time I had seen that. And she's like, now the dumb part is, am I fired? And we're like, no, let's find a better place for you. And I think in the next 6 months, she'll be ahead of our AI. But the reason I say this is she's helping me right now develop a restaurant marketing director. And we're developing to give away for free. Because my goal, we don't need anything else to put out there. But I'm like, man, if we could help our clients market better, it would make our stuff easier. Yeah. And so we're creating a chat GPT marketing director, and we're doing it like categories: pizza, burger joint, barbecue joint, all themed to where they can go in and ask the question and get the answers back. Because if you got a badass pizza place, it's probably because you got a skill set in the kitchen that Matt Plapp has never will have.
Right.
And so you're not a marketing expert. I'm not a pizza expert. I love consuming pizza, but I have no clue how to make it, which is ironic. I forgot I had it the other day. We have a movie theater in our basement. I have those pizza ovens you can make at home.
Yeah.
The big silver ones. I guess they're expensive. My wife, I forgot about. My wife got it for me Christmas 2 years ago. It hasn't been used yet. Still down there. And one of my friends saw it in a picture because it's sitting on the floor. And he's like, oh, you make pizza? Like, never used it. He's like, why? You know how good it is? I'm like, well, I'm going to guess the pizza place that I love going to, Strong's, makes better pizza than Matt Plapp could ever dream of. Yeah. And 2, maybe it's a good prize to give away. But there's so much opportunity for restaurant owners to lean into what they know, but also lean into technology like ChatGPT and the phone. That's where this started. You mentioned, we've got cameras here that cost $10,000 to $15,000 because we've got 7 full-time videographers. But it's funny, my son, who's one of my people on my team, uses his phone to do a lot of my content.
I bet. Like the technology nowadays is so easy. The other thing, restaurants, like they probably know that they can use ChatGPT, but like a company like yours, like they don't want to do it. Like that's the problem. Pizza shop, like you said, the guy wants to make pizza. He started a pizza shop because he wants to make pizza and he loves making pizza and wants to make the best pizza possible. And like getting customers to remember him or to come into the place is like not what he signed up for, but he knows he needs to do it. So he needs someone to like be able to remind people, or they would be happy to pay someone to be like, you know what? It doesn't cost that much money. Just make sure it's done for me so I don't have to do it.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but there's also a balance of what needs to be done at the restaurant level. Because the one thing, like we've never done outside of 15 years ago, we did some social media marketing for local businesses like this brand Hofbrauhaus, because I was in Hofbrauhaus's 3 breweries in Pittsburgh, Columbus, and Cincinnati, Northern Kentucky all the time. I could create their content. I knew the vibe. I could look at the brewmaster and say, hey, Eckert, give me a really cool video about how beer is made and how you're Bavarian trained. Like that has to be created in the store. Whereas, there's companies like one of the inclinations for me about 7 or 8 years ago was I wanted to create a division of our company that did social media restaurant. We're doing social media marketing for restaurants. We're going to put together a pizza program. We got the best thing. Well, it misses the number one thing, what's happening inside the restaurant. There's a young lady I follow on Instagram who's up in somewhere in the Northeast that does the craziest pizzas every day. She posts a pizza and it's got this crazy flavor on it, like the Reese cup pizza, and it's all just for virality. But nobody could ever create that. And then she also does stuff in there, how they make the pizza, the culture, the family. There's a guy named Manny. Manny's up in Philadelphia, who's a big Eagles fan, of course, and he's got a school right near him. And he goes live on Facebook once a week with the kids when they get off the school bus and they walk from school and come down to his pizzeria, and he gives them all a free slice of pizza. And that's the stuff that you need to be doing. And it's not hard. It's just using your phone. And that's what I love the most about 2025 and beyond is that when I got into radio back in the 90s, that if you were Ferrari's Little Italy, or you were the local pizza place, Grandma's down the street, and you wanted to buy advertising, you had probably 15 potential radio stations you could buy. You had 3 different cable networks. You had 5 different, the major network TV stations. You had billboards. You had direct mail. You probably had 30 places that you as a business owner had to go, okay, where is my customer's attention going to be? And what can I afford? Well, now your customer's attention's on this damn phone.
Right.
And we know for a fact that I think it's 14 times an hour the average person checks Facebook. And so just an easy number. Like, number one, we know they're on their phone. Okay, so everybody's attention's on their phone. Where are they at? Email, text, Facebook, Instagram, the internet. Okay, you can't control the internet. You might not be the greatest at texting. You can easily send an email once a week. All you gotta do is get email addresses, ask people for it, have a text stack that gets them when they order. And then the other aspect of it is Facebook and Instagram. It's not hard to grab this phone and turn around at the pizza oven and talk about a pizza. It's not hard when a Little League baseball team walks in with their uniforms on that just won the championship to take a picture of them. And it's great because that's where everybody lives nowadays, and we control it. Whereas if you go back to 1999 and you had your pizza shop and you came to Matt Plapp to buy radio, you didn't control my stations.
Right.
Like you now control everything.
Yeah, and that's all free. Like what you just mentioned, most of that stuff is like very small initial investment to get going. Like the Facebook and Instagram is free if you don't want to run ads. Text and email is almost free because it doesn't cost that much money if you just set up an email address and capture those emails and send them out. Yep. So it's like, but even the barrier to entry is so small.
But even the ads, like when I was in radio, you're looking at $500 to $1,000 if you were lucky to start on some stations. Most people were spending $4,000 a month.
That's crazy.
I can get on Facebook right now, go on the ads manager, build an ad for $1 per day, and say I want to reach women that are 35 to 55 with kids that live within 3 miles of my pizzeria, and I'm going to target them with something they can't say no to. And it's not rocket science. I keep this book on my desk all the time. I don't know if you've seen Alex Hormozy, just for the bottom. It's one of the best books I've ever read. I was fortunate to work with Alex directly when we had our gym. I was in the gym business, and we were a gym launch client, which it's kind of funny. We worked with a genius back in the day, and you look back and like, damn it, I had access to him. But the bottom of the book says how to make offers so good, people will feel stupid saying no to it.
That's like free stuff. Like giving away free pizza or free something is like stupid. Like why wouldn't anybody take that?
Exactly. And you've got to have a method to the madness. That's where I think a lot of people mess up. Like I'm anti-couponing. I hate it. How many pizza restaurants specifically coupon every week? If you've got great pizza, like Strong's Brick Oven Pizza, near my house, I eat there once a week. I eat pizza once a week. I had to go away from sacrilegious. I was trying to drop some pounds.
Okay.
And I made what I called the Matt Plapp diet. I said wings once a week, French fries, a burger once a week, and then pizza once a week. And so dropped 20 pounds in a year doing it. So I'm like, okay, it worked.
There you go.
But it is tough because then I do kind of cheat. Like I'll go into a pizza place. I'm like, oh, I had pizza 2 days ago. Give me a calzone. It's a pizza folded over.
Yeah.
So it's like negotiate with my own little terrorist. But Strong's doesn't have to do a coupon to get me to come more often. I love the pizza. I love the environment. I love the atmosphere. But they could use offers to get me to spend more money. And like they don't do a very good job of marketing. They don't do a very good job of digital marketing specifically. That if they had my contact information and they were to do a marketing campaign through their loyalty platform or whatever they're using to a database they knew already liked them and said, hey, if you come in this Wednesday and spend $10 more than normal, we're going to give you a free cookie. We're going to give you double points. Now all of a sudden Matt Plapp comes in maybe for an extra visit because I want the double points or I want the promo and I spent more money. There's so many opportunities like that if you make me an offer And then we talked about Facebook ads, where this term came from, that if you were to take that offer and put it on Facebook, I mean, how many people, everybody's advertising the Super Bowl. You know, of course, everybody's been eating pizza, but I guarantee you Monday there were a lot of pizza and wing joints that were crying the blues because nobody was walking in. Right. But if you got on Facebook and went 3 miles around your restaurant and said, hey, come in today only 6 p.m. to 9 p.m., buy one, get one free pizza, free order of wings with a pizza, free order of cheese sticks, like something like that. You make an offer people are going to feel dumb for saying no to, they'll come to your restaurant. Yeah. And the fact that you can turn that on for $5, $10, $15 on Facebook versus buying radio and TV and having all the waste, I mean, it's insane, the targeting.
Why don't people do it?
Man, that's deep. It's like
I just don't like you just explained it so clearly to me. Like if I owned a restaurant, I'm like, I'm a dumbass if I don't do that. Like I don't understand why every restaurant just doesn't do it.
So I look at marketing. The biggest problem marketing and restaurants have specifically, and this is probably everybody, but my depth of knowledge the last 10 to 15 years is restaurant owners. Right. And I tell my team, I have a sales team out here of 10 people, and they talk to restaurants all the time. And I say, guys, I want you to think about this. Imagine you buy a house and you've got your HOA fee, you've got your homeowner's insurance, you've got your mortgage payment, you've got all these expenses tied to the house, but you've never seen the house. And every month you call your mortgage guy, oh, it's there. Like, trust me, you're going to see it. And then you never see it. At some point, you're going to lose faith that the house doesn't exist. To me, that is the feeling of marketing with restaurant owners, is that they've hired somebody to do social media. I had a social media guy. I had an agency I hired. We did Facebook ads. Well, just because if I were to go home tonight and try to use that pizza oven in my basement, the odds of me making a good pizza are nil. That doesn't mean I'm going to get done and go, wow, pizza sucks. Never eat pizza again. And so I think the problem with restaurant owners when it comes to marketing is that there's a lot of people like me out there that are dumbasses. Younger Matt Plapp was probably a pretty big dumbass, and that soured them. And there's also a lot of animosity towards marketing that, I don't spend money, or it's never worked. And I could tell you I could challenge any restaurant in this entire country outside of urban restaurants with very high-end niche themes like a Thai restaurant in downtown Cincinnati. But if you gave me a pizza joint off the expressway ramp down here where they got people coming and going from work, people coming and going from home, and said, Matt, get 100 people to walk in here in the next 5 days, I can do it all day long. It's not rocket science. It's not hard. It's very easy nowadays. It just comes down to, number one, having a good brand. That is key. If your restaurant sucks, probably in a tough place. But what I have found nowadays, I don't know about you, but I've not seen very many bad restaurants lately. And I think it's because of the internet. It's tough to suck nowadays. Yeah. But you've got to have a solid restaurant. You've got to put a solid call to action out there to start the relationship. And then you've got to deliver when they walk in the restaurant. When they walk in and they get a free pizza, give them a great free pizza, get them to buy some drinks and some nachos and some wings, and then work for the next visit. And then once that next visit comes, wow them again. And then keep wowing them. And then if you just keep doing that over and over, it's on autopilot. So the marketing aspect's not tough. It just comes down to having a solid plan of attack. That if you're going to run Facebook ads, yes, could you get on Facebook right now and click the boost button and spend $25 and promote a post that if you stand in front of your sign saying, I make pizzas and nothing happens? Yes, that's a bad strategy. Right. But if you create a call to action and you create a plan that I'm going to do this with this outcome and I'm going to watch and see what happens, and then I'm going to analyze it and redo it, it'll never fail. And it's an opportunity. It's a gold mine. And I'll leave it with this on that part of it. 95% of digital marketing is purchased by major companies. Papa John's, Coca-Cola, Chevy, Mountain Dew, all those companies. So 95% of the ads on Facebook are bought by major companies. You know who they don't target? No. You and I. They don't want us. They target my 22-year-old daughter because she's the one that's not been, they have a perception that we've already determined our path. And so what's great about that is that if there's 100 ads on Facebook for 3 miles around my business right now, the majority of that inventory is being eaten up by the big boys for the masses. But when I look at a target demo, if I look at the traditional pizza shop, your number one clients are probably 30 to 60 years old. Yeah. They're not being targeted by Coke. Coke has already forgotten that consumer. Chevrolet, you're gone. If you had a Chevy when you were 21, you're going to have one when you're 70. We're not going after you. And so what's cool about it is that the inventory on Facebook, Instagram, even YouTube's a gold mine. YouTube is great. Nobody is spending money to reach that middle-aged person because the big companies do it, and then the small companies are too scared to embrace the technology.
Yeah. That's an interesting point. I did not know that about the data for those big companies, but you're right. Like, even if you had a Chevy at 21 and you loved it, you're going to get another one. And if you hated it, you're like, I'm never getting a Chevy.
No.
So you've made your decision already. Same with like, you either like Coke or Pepsi. When you're growing up, like, you've made your decision. Ask anybody in their 30s, like, which one they're going to have a preference. They're not going to be like, I like both.
Yeah. Whereas like pizza joints, I like strong. I love Strongs, but I could also name 10 pizza places within 5 minutes of my house that I could eat at any day of the week.
Yeah.
The difference why I don't eat at them is they're not relevant in my life. They don't live in my brain, rent free.
Yeah.
Because they suck at getting people's attention. It comes down to getting attention. That if you had the budget, Chick-fil-A in Cincinnati area spends, from what I understand, like $1.6 million.
Wow.
And they have like 30 or so locations last time I looked. Their brand equity here and their FU money for marketing, you're a local taco joint. They're going to eat you for breakfast when it comes to paid media. But you go out there and you do a good job of community marketing. You become viral. And when I say viral can be 1,000 views on a video in your local community.
Right.
Everybody gets hung up on the view counter. They're like, oh my God, I'm going to get this video 1 million views. Like, who cares? There's not 1 million people around you. I had a guy the other day who did some videos for his pizzeria and then stopped doing them. And they were gold. Loved them. He's like, Matt, nobody watched. I'm like, what do you mean nobody watched? He's like, well, it was like 500-600 people. Like, nothing really went viral. I said, let me ask you a question. If 500 people walked into this pizzeria, could they fit? Well, no. I'm like, 50 could, right? Yeah. Okay, then you have 500 people watched your video 7 days a week for 365. Do the math, brother. Like, picture a high school gymnasium, a college gymnasium. You're filling that consistently every week with people watching your videos. All you need are 10 or 20. And that Papa John's down the street, they aren't doing that. And so you've got to find a way to stand out, and it's an absolute gold mine.
Yeah, and there's nobody doing it. Like, no, there's probably a ton of pizza shops in my area, and I'm very like into the pizza community that I don't even know about because
you are the pizza community.
I don't know, and there's a pizza shop in my area that I've never been to or I don't know about. And you're right, I've never seen an ad, I've never seen a post, I've never seen anything about them to make me be like, oh, I got to check that place out. It's just out of sight, out of mind.
Can I give you something that's gonna make you want to cry also?
Yeah, sure.
So this shirt caught your attention, right?
Yeah.
I wore it intentionally for 2 months to the same pizza place every Friday night. I've been going to this place forever, Strong's. Wore it intentionally for 2 months in a row. Not one time did anybody in the restaurant mention that a guy in the restaurant was wearing a pizza shirt. And like one thing I talk about with marketing is sales and marketing are a product of your brand. Your brand is a product of hospitality. And if I owned a pizza joint, and some dude that comes in every week, they know who I am. They've seen me 1 million times. They might even hate me because I reference them all the time in marketing. I don't know. But I spend good money. I tip 30 to 40% every time. Kara is always our waitress. In 2 months of wearing it, I wore a pizza shirt every time. Nobody ever mentioned it. I go to Ellis Island Casino in Las Vegas. They're a client of ours. I walk in. There's a place called Metro Pizza, which has fire pizza. I walk up to the counter. The lady flips a lid. Oh my God, pizza shirt. Look at this guy. Like they're loving it. And I loved it because I'm like, thank you. My goal at that point, I'm going to wear this shirt every time I get pizza just to keep a count to see. And so I did it 12 times, and twice in 12 pizzerias did somebody say something. The other one was a place called Bruno's up on Miami University's campus in Oxford. I walked in the restaurant. We were filming an episode of ABR Roadshow, and I never get to go to the episodes because we film like today. We're at 20 restaurants this week, 4 today.
Wow.
But we're in California and Texas. And so they happen to be filming locally about a month and a half ago. And I'm like, I'm going to Miami to see us film because I don't get to do it often enough. And I walked in with a pizza shirt because it's a pizza restaurant. I'm like, hey, here we go. Visit number 12. My goal was to do like 12 restaurants. The lady flips out. Pizza shirt. I got to get a selfie with you. I love the pizza shirt. And I'm like, man, it's great social media content also. Like some crazy guy. Who has ever wore a pizza shirt in your restaurant? Probably not many people.
No.
And I think that's also where it starts too, is marketing is a product of what you're doing inside your restaurant. And if I walk in your restaurant, everybody's a damn zombie. They're just there making my pizza. man, that makes me feel like crap. But if I walk in and like, hey, pizza shirt guy, what's up, my man? You know, it makes the entire atmosphere.
Yeah, I love that. That's a great message, and I love that. Man, I could talk to you all day long about this marketing stuff because it's fascinating. I love marketing, and I love pizza, and I'm sure people who are listening got some great information. Where can people go if they wanted to like go to your website or reach out to you guys for help? Where should they go?
Yeah, just go to mattplapp.com. That's my personal site, mattplapp.com. My cell phone number's on there. My email's on there. Yeah, we've got 55 employees. I'm not involved in operations, so I'm not going to sell you something. I don't actually know how to fill the forms out. Last week, one of our clients upgraded to something and nobody was available, and he's a friend of a friend, so I hopped on a call with him, and I kind of half-ass showed him some things. He's like, I'm in. Here's my credit card. And I'm like, I don't know how to do that anymore. So, you know, mattplapp.com. I'm an open book. I love talking to people. I put my phone number out there all the time, 859-743-2408. And I get a text message random nights all the time. I had one about 2 months ago. I'm in my hot tub, Saturday night, 11 o'clock. I get a text. I reply back, and then the guy calls. He's like, is this really Matt Plapp? I'm like, yeah, why? What you got, man? Where's your restaurant? And he was a Mexican restaurant in California. He's like, I just figured this was like some automated machine. I'm like, no, it's me. You can hear the hot tub in the background. And he's like, that's crazy. I'm like, well, I mean, you're my people. I don't have a day-to-day I have to worry about, and I'd rather give advice than anything else. And if we have something that fits what you need, great. If not, I mean, there's a million loyalty companies out there. There's a million marketing companies. There's a million online trainings that teach you how to do what we do. It's just the level you want it done at. So, yeah, go to mattplapp.com. I have a blog on there. I have a podcast I record. I used to do both of them every day. And then recently I shifted to a handful of times a week because I was finding myself putting a blog post up just to put a blog post up versus
being quality.
Putting my heart behind it.
Yeah.
And so I did a daily podcast for 3.5 years until last week. And so it's now a couple times a week.
That's on your website. Like those are links on Matt Plapp too. And where can they go? Is just look up America's Best Restaurants on YouTube, right? And that's the YouTube show.
So americasbestrestaurants.com is the brand.
Okay.
Our program is not built for our own channel. So we have a YouTube channel with like 11,000 viewers, and the videos get a couple hundred views. Our videos broadcast the first time on the restaurant's Facebook page.
Okay, so you're creating these videos for the restaurant's customers, not for you guys.
My whole vision is the TV show is them. And the only reason that we actually have a YouTube channel, it's kind of funny, YouTube contacted us recently with some coaching and then a consulting company also. And they said the reason your YouTube channel doesn't grow is because 90% of your views are coming from an off-site view. They're coming from americasbestrestaurants.com. We want people on YouTube. We're not going to suggest your videos. I'm like, I don't care if you suggest them.
Right.
What do you mean? Why do you have YouTube? I have YouTube so I can easily embed it on the restaurant's listing on americasbestrestaurants.com.
Free hosting.
Exactly. That's why I have it. I said, we want the views to be on the restaurant's Facebook page. Like I was looking at one yesterday, La Rocca's Pizza in Topeka, Kansas. Their ABR episode, they turned a marketing campaign on with it because we have like an extended package. And it's at like 300,000 views since October.
That's crazy.
I want the views there.
And those are all people in their area, right?
Yeah, in the region, yeah.
Like,
and
so
she said every day, Matt. It's like, and it's just running on rerun because that was always my thing too with diners, drive-ins, and dives is that it's a national audience. That it looks cool, it sounds cool, it is a cool thing. Guy is a very good dude. He is the epitome of our industry.
Yeah.
But the show reaches a few hundred people in your local community one time and then it goes away.
So the Facebook. Yeah, that's awesome. Because people always put their Facebook, like they always want a video, like when you walk into the pizzeria, they'll have a TV, and if they were ever on the news or something, they just have it like rerunning. You just have your own episode on there.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what a lot of people do.
Yeah, that's perfect. MattPlapp.com. Thank you so much, Matt, for hanging out with me today. Very much appreciated. We'll look up everything in the show notes in the description for this video. Don't go anywhere yet, but I appreciate you joining me. This was great.
Cool. Thanks, brother.